At a family dinner, I said, I can't wait for the family trip this weekend. My dad laughed and said, we already had a vacation without you 4 days ago. Mom pulled out her phone, video, photos, smiles, and then she said, we didn't need the burden. I didn't answer, but what I did next wiped the smiles off their faces. And then, my name is Kurt. I'm 27 years old, and I've never been the type of guy to expect too much. I work hard, I'm quiet, and I've always been the one in the family that people come to when things go wrong. Car trouble? I pay the mechanic's bill. Mortgage late? I loan them cash, interest-free. My sister's tuition last fall? That was me. All I ever asked in return was something small, something simple. A week? A family vacation? Just us together. It wasn't a sudden idea. We talked about it for months. We agreed on a weekend. I even covered some of the expenses, booked the cabin, split the deposit. I was the one who reminded them to pack bug spray and sunscreen. It would be the first time in years we'd be together, free of all the usual excuses. No missed phone calls, no canceled dinners, no work emergencies, just us. So, when my mom texted that dinner was at 6, 00 on Thursday, I didn't think much of it. I figured she wanted to go over last-minute trip details. I hadn't seen her in a few weeks. I'd been working late shifts and keeping a low profile, but it felt good to walk into the house. I even brought a bottle of red wine. Thought it would go nice with pasta. I should have noticed the way they were all too quiet. My dad was in a good mood. Megan was smiling more than usual. Travis even nodded at me when I walked in. Everyone looked content, like they were already on their break. Dinner was garlic bread, pasta, salad on the side. Classic family night before a trip. Food. I was relaxed, excited. It felt good for once. So I said it casually. I said, I can't wait for our family trip this weekend. And just like that, the air changed. My dad froze in mid-bite, then he sat back and laughed. Not a nervous laugh, not confusion, a real laugh, like I had just told the world's dumbest joke. Megan raised her eyebrows and gave Travis that look, like they were both in on something I wasn't. I looked at my mom. She wasn't laughing. She just reached into her purse and pulled out her cell phone. She flipped the screen over to me. There they were. Photos, dozens of them, videos, palm trees, pools, frozen drinks, ocean sunsets, all of them. My whole family on a vacation I didn't even know was happening. Them on jet skis, them eating seafood, smiling together on the beach. My dad wiped his mouth and said, we went on vacation without you 6 days ago. It was like he was telling me I'd missed a rerun on TV. No emotion, no shame, like it was normal. My mom didn't flinch. She played a short video of them at some resort, everyone laughing in slow motion. Then she looked at me and said, we don't need a burden. The word didn't echo. It pierced silently because deep inside I knew what she meant. They hadn't forgotten me. They chose not to bring me. And here's the thing. I didn't scream. I didn't overturn the table, or break a plate, or storm out. I just sat there. I kept eating quietly, bite after bite, while they watched, while that ugly silence filled the room like smoke. They didn't know it yet, but I had already made a decision right then. I wasn't going to forgive them, not this time. And what I did next, that's when their little holiday smiles finally disappeared. They say silence is powerful, but it's only useful if you know what to do with it. So, I sat there chewing, pretending to be calm while my brain was already 6 steps ahead. They didn't know what I had access to. They never paid attention to the details. They just knew that somehow things always got paid for. Travis never asked how the rent on his overpriced apartment magically disappeared when he got laid off last year. Megan never asked how her tuition bill disappeared overnight after she failed 2 classes and lost her scholarship. And my parents, they were the worst. They kept telling me I was too responsible for my own good, while quietly pocketing the benefits of my so-called responsibility. They didn't know I was handling the accounts. Not just mine, theirs. It started last year when they asked me to help them restructure some debt. I put it all in my name, thinking it would help us all get a better deal. It worked. I got them out of a jam. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself they'd take control once they got back on their feet. They never did. And now here they were, telling me I was a burden. Smiling with sunburned faces and photos from a trip I wasn't invited to, paid for in part with my own money. After dinner, I didn't say goodbye. I thanked my mother for the food, grabbed my jacket, and left as if nothing had happened. Not one of them stopped me. They thought they'd gotten away with it. The first thing I did when I got home was pull up the financials. Travis's rent was tied to my second account. Easy kill switch. Megan's tuition? She had no idea I was the co-signer on her student loan. My dad's car lease, under my name. My mom's credit card. She used to buy half the crap on that beach trip, same deal. I didn't yell. I didn't call. I just started shutting things down. I emailed Travis 24 hours notice. He ignored it. The next day, his rent bounced. Megan's card stopped working on campus. My mom got a notice the next morning that her credit line had been closed due to account holder termination. Dad's car, repossessed 2 days later. I didn't even have to do anything. Just let the payments lapse. By the end of the week, the calls started coming in. At first, they were confused, then angry, then desperate. I didn't answer. Then Megan showed up at my apartment, crying because she couldn't register for classes. Travis called me from a payphone he hadn't used since 2007. My mom left me 5 voicemails in one day, alternating between guilt and gaslighting. My dad just texted, "Grow up." I didn't respond. That's when things got ugly. That's when the real war started. That's when things got ugly. That's when the real war started. By the 3rd day, they stopped pretending they didn't need me. Megan posted some passive-aggressive story on Instagram about how money doesn't make you family.
Narrated some nerd out being betrayed by your own blood.
My mom sent a group text to the entire extended family claiming I had a mental breakdown and was acting out. She even called Aunt Lorraine and tried to stage some kind of intervention. That was her mistake. Because Aunt Lorraine, God bless her, called me first. She didn't believe any of it. She said she had seen the vacation photos and thought it was strange that I wasn't in any of them. She asked if I was okay, and I told her everything, every disgusting detail, from the way they lied about the trip to the years I bailed them out financially to that dinner. To my surprise, she laughed. Not because it was funny, but because she said it reminded her of something that happened in the family years ago that no one ever talked about. Apparently, that kind of selfishness ran deep in our bloodline. This gave me an idea. It wasn't enough to just cut off her access. That was the move of someone who wanted to disappear. I didn't want to disappear. I wanted them to feel it. Really feel it. So I sent an email, a short one, just 6 lines, but it was enough. It went out to every member of our extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins. The body was simple. A link to a photo album. Screenshots of all the beach photos they had sent each other. A breakdown of all the expenses, flights, hotel, drinks, and a single sentence. This trip was partially paid for by me. I wasn't invited. By that evening, the group chat was on fire. Half the family was horrified, the other half not surprised. Turns out, my parents had a habit of forgetting people when it came to plans. One cousin sent me a private message saying she hadn't spoken to them since they skipped her wedding. Another told me how my dad had borrowed money from their dad 10 years ago and never paid it back. They thought they were safe behind the silence. Now that silence was gone. 2 days later, Travis lost his job. I didn't even know he still had one. Apparently, someone forwarded the email to his boss after he posted about financial trauma on LinkedIn. Megan was staying with a friend in a dorm room that wasn't hers. My mom's Facebook went dark after a series of nasty comments from relatives. And my dad, he showed up at my door. He wasn't yelling. He looked tired. Not sad, not guilty, just tired. I didn't invite him in. He asked me a question. "Why?" I said. Do you really want to know? You called me a burden. And then I closed the door. But it wasn't over. Not even close. I thought that cutting off their money would be enough. That they'd sit on it, stew in it, maybe even come crawling back with a little humility. Instead, they doubled down. It started with little things. Megan tagged me in an Instagram story with a packed suitcase and the caption, "Leaving behind fake family for real friends nail polish." Dot. Real mature. Travis posted a blurry photo of himself holding a whiskey glass and smiling like a hostage with the caption, "Not everyone can handle your light. That's why they try to dim it." I didn't even respond. They were flailing. Then came the twist. My mom called my job, said I was unstable, said she was concerned about my mental state, and that I might be embezzling funds from the company. Those were her actual words. My boss pulled me into his office, and to his credit, he laughed when he told me, but the damage was done. HR had to file a report. I had to sit through a 40-minute interview explaining that I wasn't laundering money. I was furious, not even at the accusation, but at how casually she tried to burn everything I had built. I realized then that they weren't just trying to survive this. They were trying to bury me in it. So, I made a decision. I would let them dig. I started with Travis. He'd forgotten all about the crypto wallet he'd started in 2018. It was a silly project, something he bragged about over Thanksgiving dinner when Bitcoin was booming. He never reported the profits, never moved them properly. When the market crashed, he panicked, quietly cashed out and spent it. His company, where he worked in finance, had a strict policy about undeclared assets. I sent in a tip anonymously with just enough detail to make them look. 3 days later, an IT audit was launched. Then Megan. She was stupid enough to use her university email to sign up for a fake online internship last summer so she could skip mandatory summer credits. They paid her a stipend for it. I anonymously forwarded her account information to the school, along with screenshots from her own Instagram showing her studying on a beach in Cancun that same month. And my mom, I saved hers for last. She'd been using my dead uncle's Medicare card for years. Told me once, like it was a joke, that she saved hundreds on prescriptions by saying she was picking them up for him. I waited until I found an envelope addressed to his name from the insurance company in her recycling bin. Took pictures. Sent them in. I didn't stop there. I opened a new Reddit account and posted everything under a disclaimer. No names, just the facts. My family took a tropical vacation without me. I paid for it. Then they called me a burden, so I took it all back. It exploded. Tens of thousands of upvotes. Screenshots of the post ended up on Twitter, Facebook, even Instagram Reels. People were stitching together their own stories, sharing how their families had used and abandoned them. I didn't name my family, but someone in my extended family connected the dots and shared the post on Facebook. My cousin Stephanie tagged me in the comments with one line. About time someone said it. It went viral. The family drama spilled over into group chats, Facebook threads, and even my grandmother's Sunday church group. My parents went silent. Travis deleted his Twitter. Megan deactivated her Instagram. For the first time in weeks, they stopped pretending to be fine, and then I took it a step further. I knew that my dad's golfing buddy, Henry, owned the construction company that Travis was supposed to hire for a side project. I sent Henry a link to the Reddit post. Just the post. Nothing else, no explanation, no name. Just said, "Thought you should see this before you finalize anything. Travis lost the contract." Megan's school put her on probation. My mom's Medicare flagged the account. She got a letter, certified. They started calling again. This time it wasn't anger. It was fear. But I wasn't done. I wanted them to feel what I felt the night I saw those vacation photos. The cold, the isolation, the betrayal. And I knew just how to do it, because I'd planned something else, something long-term, and it was almost ready. They thought I was just going to cut them off. They had no idea that I was going to make sure that no one ever gave them anything again. They thought the worst was over. They were wrong. The thing about revenge is, if you do it right, you don't have to yell, You don't have to threaten. You just move your pieces quietly until the board turns over, and by the time they realize it, they've already lost. My family didn't just rely on my money. They relied on my silence, my willingness to clean up, pay off, cover tracks, and smooth over embarrassing family dramas when they stumbled. I was the guardian of their reputations without ever agreeing to be one. So I started pulling strings. The first thing I did was go after their support systems, the friends who always had their back, the ones who liked their beach photos and commented family goals under group selfies. They were easy. People love drama, especially when it's cloaked in truth. I made a second Reddit post. Different tone, less anger, more rawness. I titled it, "When Your Family Calls You a Liability After Using You to Stay Afloat." I shared screenshots. Nothing illegal. Nothing too personal. Just enough. The tuition receipts, the Venmo transfers, the resort reservation confirmation email I'd forwarded to my mom with. Can't wait for this at the top. The message ended with that. They didn't forget me. They shut me out after I made their lives easier. I wasn't too expensive. I was just inconvenient to take care of. People went crazy. It was posted everywhere. Podcasts started reading it. A friend sent me a TikTok where someone was reading the post while baking banana bread. The internet doesn't always get it right. But this time, it did. Her social media presence collapsed in less than a week. Megan's influencer friend group was gone. Her DMs leaked into a group chat where she laughed about how easy it was to milk a guilt trip out of me. The comments under her last post turned vicious before she deleted everything. Travis's fantasy football league kicked him out. They said it was too much heat. My mom's prayer group disinvited her from their Saturday brunch. Apparently, one of them was a subscriber to the subreddit and put it all together. Small world. But I wasn't done yet. I made appointments with a financial advisor. Cleaned house. Every joint asset liquidated or transferred. Anything they might ever come back and try to claim closed. I updated my will, removed their names, created a trust in my name that no one in my family could access, put everything in it, and then I submitted a story to the local paper, a real one about financial abuse within families. I didn't use names. I didn't have to. The writer checked everything. He used my email records, my bank statements, the messages in which my mother called me a burden. It ran in the Sunday paper with a title that couldn't have been more perfect. The Son They Left Behind. That was when it all cracked, the church whispered. The neighbors looked. My dad stopped going to the hardware store where he practically lived. Megan tried to transfer to another school and was denied. Too many flags. Travis's savings were frozen during the audit. They were no longer a family to be admired for surviving hardship. They were the cautionary tale. And yet, I wasn't done. For now, I had everything in place for the final move. The one they'd never see coming. The one that would leave them completely alone. There's a kind of silence that comes just before something breaks. Not the absence of noise, but the kind where you can feel everyone holding their breath, hoping it'll pass, hoping that maybe somehow you'll just let go. But I didn't. They wanted to bury me quietly. I made sure they were the ones standing in the hole. What they didn't know, what no one knew, was that while I was unraveling their lives, I was also building something of my own. You see, I'd been offered a job months before, a big offer out of state with a company that didn't know or care about my family. I turned it down at the time because I didn't want to leave them behind. The irony wasn't lost on me. When it all blew up, I called the recruiter. The job was still open. I accepted on the spot. And then I did something else. I bought the house next to hers. It was a foreclosure. I got it dirt cheap, cash. Just enough money to fix it up a little. I didn't move in. I didn't even tell them I bought it. I just installed motion detecting cameras pointed right at their front yard. Nothing illegal, just security and a reminder. Every morning, as they walked out, the cameras would come to life. Red light flashing, silent, watching. I also hired a landscaping company to come every 2 weeks just to keep the lawn sharp. People started asking questions. Had someone new moved in? The neighbors were curious, but I made sure no one ever saw me there. I never came during the day. Sometimes at night, I'd drive by and sit across the street in my car with the headlights off, just watch the porch, watching them try to pretend they were still in control. They were unraveling. My mother's car was repossessed. Megan was taking community college classes online, living with a boyfriend whose patience was wearing thin by the day. Travis was working part-time at a hardware store. He saw me once, I think, just passing through downtown. He looked like he'd aged 10 years. Then the letter came. It was written by my dad, real pen and paper. He said they wanted to apologize, that they missed me, that they'd made mistakes and didn't expect me to forgive them, but they hoped I'd come home one day, that maybe we could try again. I didn't respond. Instead, I sent him a notarized document, a formal statement removing them as emergency contacts, beneficiaries, and every other title that bound us together on paper. But I included a photo in the envelope. A screenshot. It was from 6 months ago. That dinner, that night, right after my mom showed me the beach pictures. I'd taken a picture of the table just casually before the tension. Everyone smiling, everyone oblivious. I printed a sentence under the picture. That was the last time I ate with strangers. A week later, I left town. Didn't tell anyone where I was going. New job, new apartment, new life. The last I heard, the house next to hers was put back on the market. My realtor said they kept asking who bought it. She told them the buyer wanted to remain anonymous. Funny how quickly people forget who you are when there's nothing left to take. But I didn't forget them, and I never will. Update 1. Hey again. It's been a month since I left everything behind. I thought I was done with this story. I wasn't planning on posting again, honestly. But something happened that I didn't see coming. And it's been eating at me for days now, so here it is. I've been living in a new city, started the new job, quiet office, good people, no one prying into my life. I didn't even give them my real emergency contact, just a law firm I use. I like it that way. Clean break, no mess. Everything went well, peaceful even. But last week I got a letter. Not an email, not a voicemail, a handwritten envelope with no return address. Inside was a photo of me as a child, maybe 7 years old, standing in front of our old house with a backpack almost bigger than me. I was smiling, missing 2 front teeth. My mom was crouched next to me, holding my arm. Behind us in the picture, barely visible, was my dad and Travis arguing about something in the driveway. Megan's stroller was in the corner. There was no note, just the photo. I don't know how they got my address. I never gave it to anyone. I didn't use my real name on the property records for the house next door, and I used a different address for all my mail forwarding. It scared me. Not because I felt in danger, but because it wasn't anger. It wasn't guilt. It was just quiet. Then, a few days later, I received a second envelope. This one had a flash drive in it. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe a recorded apology, a rant, something dramatic. But it was a video. Simple. 17 minutes, shot in their living room. The 3 of them. Mom, Dad, and Travis. Megan wasn't there. No big speeches, no sobbing. They were just sitting. My mom was holding the same photo they sent me. My dad looked like he hadn't shaved in a week. Travis didn't say a word the whole time. My mom only said one thing. We know we broke it. We don't expect anything back, but we're leaving the door open. No pressure, just a door. Then it ended. I didn't answer. I don't even know how I feel about it. Part of me just wants to throw it all away and forget. Another part. The part that still remembers what that 7-year-old kid was hoping for, feels something I can't quite put my finger on. Regret, pity, weakness. I don't know, but I saved the flash drive. I didn't delete the video. I'm not saying I'll ever forgive them. I'm not saying I'm going to go back, but I guess I'm not done feeling anything either. Maybe that's the unexpected part. I thought revenge would burn it all away. Turns out the smoke lingers longer than I thought. Update 2. All right. It's been 2 months since my last update, and I wasn't planning on coming back here unless something big happened. Something did. I've been doing okay, working, keeping my head down, trying to build something real in this new town. The silence was good for a while, therapeutic even. I stopped checking their social media, stopped talking to the extended family. For the first time in years, no one asked me for anything. But then a strange thing happened. 3 weeks ago, I got a call from a blocked number. I never answer those, so I let it ring. Then I got a voicemail. It wasn't them. It was Megan. She sounded tired. Not the fake dramatic Instagram exhausted kind of tired. The real, kind, calm voice. No tears. She just said she had something to tell me and it wasn't about forgiveness or making things right. She said she'd been in therapy, that she was living in a shared studio with 2 other girls, and that her parents don't talk to her because she took my side. Then she said this. I told the truth, Kurt. I told them what I did. I told them I used you. I told them I knew about the vacation, and I said nothing. I even told them about the internship lie. I thought you should know. That's it. She didn't ask me to call her back, she just hung up. A few days later, I got a letter. A real one again. This time from my dad. I opened it, which shocked even me. It was short. He said he had sold the house, not out of guilt, but because they had to. Financially, they were finished. My mother had moved in with her sister. He was living in a trailer out in the country. He said something I never expected him to say. I thought I was protecting the family by keeping you away. Turns out, I was just protecting our comfort, and I finally see the difference. There was a money order in the envelope. It was only for $275. He wrote in parentheses, the groceries from last June. I laughed when I saw it, not because it was funny, but because it was real, and maybe for the first time, honest.